Jay, let me come to you now. As we talk about the new Indian consumer, we talk about digitization and digital transformation. That's what you're attempting to do at the bank with 811. Now, take me through what the aspiration is. How do you look at the consumer differently, for instance, from the way that your father looked at the banking business?
Sure. So there's been, I think, over the past 6 to 7 years, a profound set of things that have changed, that have stacked on top of each other. I saw a podcast with Jeff Bezos a few weeks ago where he said that Amazon would not have been possible without credit cards and without FedEx. And those two were key enablers that allowed much larger businesses to grow. In that context, India's had a few that have stacked on top of each other very, very quickly. One is UPI, which is something that 10 years ago you would never have believed.
Yeah.
That all Indians would be doing 15 and 20 and 25 rupee transactions on their phone. Two is widespread mobile telephony and availability of devices at very, very low prices. Three is Aadhaar. Aadhaar is something that solves a fundamental problem in the financial sector where know your customer is extremely important. And then you've had the mindset change from COVID and demonetization. All of these factors, stack ranked upon each other, have created an ecosystem that has made financial services in India much more ripe for disruption and made customers much more demanding of how their financial institution serves them.
You talked about disruption. The argument that one hears today is that Indian startups in the fintech space are far more disruptive than legacy incumbents like the banks. And banks cannot do what startups can do. How do you look at this? Do you believe that, a partnership, a symbiotic relationship is the way forward? And why do you believe, or do you believe that banks can be as disruptive as fintech startups?
Two parts to that question. The second part, yes, I believe banks can stand up to their own. Banks need to do a much, much better job than we have so far. But it is not easy. We talked about the quick commerce players. I would say the same of outstanding companies in the payment space, companies like PhonePe, companies like Google Pay, Zerodha, to name a few. All of these activities, payments and investments, 10 years ago, customers were doing with their banks. Now, banks have been disintermediated to a certain level and become warehouses for customers' money, whereas the actual engagement layer on top, the payment interface or the
Why did you lose that?
I think that if you look at the quality of customer interfaces and customer service that modern companies provide, and it starts with Amazon and Gmail that provide outstanding digital interfaces along with physical delivery. And now the new age guys do the same thing. And banks did not have the same kind of product offering in the late teens. And
so are you playing catch up now?
I think banks have caught up, but we're still behind.
Still behind.
Yes.
Lavanya, as we talk about this new wave of digitization, we talk about AI, we talk about the global opportunities that open up as well. I mean, each of you are catering to the Indian market, catering to the Indian consumer, so you're not so perturbed by what President Trump is doing. But as you look at the world today, as a young entrepreneur, as somebody who's running a business, what are the things that weigh on your mind? What are the things that you're looking at on your dashboard, to find signals in how you would like to operate, where you would like to grow, etc.?
So I'll tackle that question by talking a little bit about the disruption, right? Like where do we think that business could get disrupted? Now, when I came back to the family business 2016, the first thing that I started was the e-commerce business. And it's been 10 years now. So the mindset back in 2016 was very different. Also, if you're a successful incumbent, the mindset is, if anything, even more inflexible and rigid. So this is one thing that all of us as successful businesses have to watch out for.
So the curse of legacy in a way, right?
Yes, and it's also, I call it a sterility of success. You've done
sterility of success, that's a nice line, yeah.
Because you've done things a certain way for so long, you perfected it, right? And then here is this rinky-dink, ugly little e-commerce thing, because that's how nascent businesses start. It's not perfect, right? And then you're easy to poo-poo it. Oh, it's only for the discount brands. It's only for the kind of customers we don't want. Yes, but they will play catch-up. By the time you wake up as an incumbent, you've lost the plot, right? Because they built up the infrastructure, they built up the supply chain, they built up the digital marketing, they built up the talent pool. Now you're playing catch-up. So the only way to stave off disruption is you have to disrupt yourself. Easier said than done.
Yeah.
There is also a way to do that. Create a smaller pool and allow that little disruptive unit to breathe on its own. Because if you as an incumbent player come and sort of enforce the same metrics and the success metrics that you set for your established businesses and your cash cows, that disruptor is never going to be able to catch up. The larger org will always keep, forcing it to fail.
Right. And that's an important point. Sterility can often be, the opposite to trying and experimenting. Sterility of success, as you pointed out. But Shashwat, as you look at capital allocation for new businesses, for new ventures, I'm sure a lot of these questions have been asked of you. What's the point of it? Stick to the knitting, stick to the core, and so on and so forth. So what has been the pushback from your side to ensure that you address spaces and opportunities that you believe will be engines of growth for the future?
So I think for me, when I look at opportunities and how I sell it to the larger organization is using a lot of data, honestly, because in today's day and age, everything you're thinking about, somebody else in the world has already done it or is doing it. So there is a live example that's available. There is data that's available to kind of convince people on what is it that you're trying to say, right? And then, of course, there is an element of risk that comes with every such decision, but that's when you take the calculated risks, right? And I think today, ever more so than before, disruption is just imminent. And we are seeing it across every industry, every sector, right from, like you're seeing what's happening, disruption because of policy changes happening globally to technology, to AI, to everything, right? So you have to kind of be agile, you have to be abreast, and you have to also see how your business model evolves and how some of the traditional businesses may not be relevant 5 years, 10 years from today, and therefore what are the investment decisions that you need to take today to ensure that you as a business and as a business house is still relevant?
Are still relevant. Let me end by asking each one of you in 10 seconds each. They say the job of a leader is to find the future in the present. Jay Kotak, as you look at the present, what does the future look like? What do you aspire for yourself as well as for Kotak Mahindra Bank?
I would like for us to be a foremost player in digital banking in India.
Foremost player in digital banking in India.
The number one player, hopefully.
The number one player, by when?
As soon as possible.
As soon as possible. Shashwat.
I think when I look at our group, and it's very diversified, so it's difficult to give one statement like Jay did, but I think when I look at us 5 years, 10 years from today, how do I ensure that we are still as relevant and we are part of shaping what the Indian economy is going to be all about?
Shaping the Indian economy, that's the future bet, Lavanya.
I think for us, our core will always remain consumer, right? Like in service of the consumer, and it'll remain product. But how do we innovate on the product, and how do we create that kind of immersive experience for consumers and the future consumers? I think that's where the innovation and the excitement is.
Well, we look forward to hearing more from each one of you about your future endeavors, your future innovations, as well as the energy that you intend to put in to drive your businesses forward. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for the next gen of Indian business and what they're attempting to do to take their legacy forward. Appreciate your time, and we wish you the very best of luck. Thank you so much.